In the last video, we ended where we added Angular Flex layout to our app. Now, in this video, what we are going to do is to add a content slider to our application. And for this content slider, I'm going to choose the Angular library NGU Carousel. First, we have to install that with npm. So here we have npm install at NGU Carousel. With that done, I have my app.modules.ts open. What we need to do next is we need to import the module for NGU Carousel. Next, I need to set up the NGU Carousel configurations for our slider. To do that, I have to set it in our app.component class. So here I will go ahead and first of all define or import the service for this NGU Carousel. With that, I'm going to set up a variable known as Carousel Options. We are going to need this in our template layout as an input. With that, what I want to do next is I want to define the items which we are going to display in our slider. And I'll do that by defining an array with a couple of items. So here we have an array called items with a couple of items. And we have 5 or 6 items in our array. Next, what I want to do is I want to set up configurations for our slider, and I will do that in the ng on init lifecycle. Okay, here we have the carousel options, and this is really self-explanatory in the sense that, for example, we have the Greek config here. And what this does is it tells the number of items to display on different screen sizes or resolutions. For example, for very small devices, we want to display just one item, while for large devices such as desktop, we want to display 3 items in our slider. And the rest of this is and there are a lot more configurations you may need for your own application. So you can always check this with the NGU Carousel website. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this file. And what we need to do next is in our template file, that is the app.component.html. Here I'm going to go ahead and set our content slider. I'll define a place for our content slider, and I also set up a div. You don't really need to do that, but I just went ahead and set up a div here, and it's not really needed. Next, we're going to set up the NGU carousel using the components of NGU carousel. So the first component here we are going to need is NGU carousel. So here with NGU carousel, we need to set the config here through an input, which is also known as input, and we also have to set our data source, which is also an input. And the data source here is items. That is the array of our items. And what we need to do next is to set up another NGU carousel component, and that is called NGU tile. The NGU tile is going to hold each item of our slider. And what I did next is I just set up a modcat here within each NGU tile or NGU item. And what I did here, I defined some HTML. I had the modcat header, which is going to hold our item.icon. And I also have here in the markup content section, I have the item title and also the item text. And in the markup actions section, I just went ahead and added our item.action. That is almost done, but like a slider, we need buttons to navigate, or we need slider buttons for our slider. So I went ahead also and added a set of buttons. One is a right and button and one is a left. So we have the left button here and the right button. What I wanted to do next is to set points in our sliders so people will be able to know which slide they are on. So I also went ahead and added a list here of our slider item points. And that is all, I think, all of it. If I go ahead and save this now, we should have a slider working for our application. Let's save this and check the browser. Okay, as you can see here, we have our slider, which has been, okay, I think it's nicely set up. We have a slider in which we can scroll through or navigate through. It's also really responsive on both mobile and screen or desktop devices. So let's inspect this on a mobile device. Okay, I'm going to set that to Galaxy S5. So here on a mobile device, you can see it's really responsive, and we can also scroll through the items of our slider. That should be it for this video. In the next video, we are going to go ahead and add the Wowjs library for Angular to our application. So hopefully I will see you in the next video.